Welcome back to the Liberty and Democracy podcast. We are currently working on building several new websites and podcasts connected with the topic of freedom and democracy and plan on offering weekly episodes to freedom and democracy-loving people from all over the world. We're happy to continue sharing our episodes with you. In today's episode, we focus on the courageous people of North Korea. Today's episode is thus titled, You Were Born Free, a message of truth and hope for the people of North Korea. Okay, are you ready to begin? Let's do it.
You were born free, a message of truth and hope for the people of North Korea. A message of truth, dignity, and unshakable hope. To you, the listener. If you are listening to these words, whether secretly with trembling hands or with a heart that has long ached for something you cannot quite name, know this. You were born with a worth that no government can grant, and no government can take away. This article is written for you, not for the regime, not for officials or generals or those who profit from your suffering. For you, the farmer, the student, the mother, the soldier who secretly wonders if there is another way to live. These words are written with love, with truth, and with the conviction that your life has infinite value. Part 1. The Truth About Freedom, Where It Comes From. Throughout history, the greatest thinkers, spiritual leaders, and freedom fighters across every culture and continent have arrived at the same conclusion. Human freedom is not a gift from government. It is a birthright woven into the very nature of what it means to be human. The American Declaration of Independence, written in 1776, expressed what millions across the world already believed in their hearts, that all people are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These words did not invent freedom. They simply recognized what was always true. Religious traditions across the world agree. In the Christian scriptures, the Apostle Paul wrote, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free." The Hebrew scriptures speak of a God who heard the cries of an enslaved people and acted, dramatically and decisively, to liberate them. Islam teaches that every human being is born in a state of purity and dignity, fitra, and that no person has the right to lord absolute power over another. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes from the suppression of our true nature, and that every soul deserves the path toward enlightenment and peace. Across faiths and philosophies, the verdict is unanimous. The desire to be free is not a foreign idea planted in your heart by enemies. It is the voice of your own soul telling you the truth. When a government tells you that you must surrender your thoughts, your words, your movements, your beliefs, and your children's futures entirely to the state, that government is not protecting you. It is stealing from you. It is taking what was never theirs to take. Part 2. How the Kim regime has maintained control. Understanding how oppression works is the first step to seeing through it. The North Korean regime did not maintain its grip on 26 million people by being right. It maintained control through a carefully constructed system of fear, isolation, and manufactured reality. The Songbun system, dividing people against themselves. From birth, every North Korean citizen is assigned a Songbun, a loyalty classification inherited from their ancestors. Those whose grandparents had ties to Japan, or who had family members who fled south, are permanently branded as unreliable. This system ensures that millions of people compete to prove their loyalty by informing on their neighbors, even their own families. When a government turns families against each other, communities cannot form the bonds of trust necessary to resist. Total information control. North Koreans are permitted to watch only state-approved television, read only state-approved newspapers, and listen only to state radio, all of which broadcast the same message, hour after hour, that the Kim family is divine, that South Korea and America are hellish wastelands, and that outside help is a trap. Citizens who are caught with foreign media, a South Korean drama, a USB drive with outside news, face imprisonment or death. This is not because the government fears foreign entertainment. It is because they fear the moment you discover that the world outside your borders does not look the way you were told it does. The Jewish ideology, manufactured devotion. The state ideology of Jewish, promoted as a philosophy of self-reliance, was designed to make North Koreans believe they need nothing from the outside world, not economically, not spiritually, not intellectually. It replaced religion with the worship of the Kim family. Portraits of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il hang in every home and every classroom, not by choice, but by law. Citizens must bow to these images. This is not national pride. This is the systematic replacement of God with a man who could be obeyed, monitored, and feared. The Gulag system, terror as governance. The Kwanliso political prison camps hold an estimated 80,000 to 120,000 people at any given time. Prisoners are sent not only for crimes, but for perceived disloyalty, for the crimes of their relatives, for accidentally stepping on a newspaper with Kim Jong-un's photograph. Survivors who have escaped describe forced labor, starvation, torture, and executions. These camps exist not primarily to punish wrongdoers. They exist to make every North Korean citizen understand what happens to those who question. They govern through the imagination of terror. Manufactured famine and economic dependence. The catastrophic famine of the 1990s, known in North Korea as the Arduous March, killed an estimated 500,000 to 3 million people. While people starved, the regime continued funding its military. The state's control over food, through the public distribution system, meant that to eat, you had to remain in the system, remain loyal, remain visible. Hunger itself became a tool of control. Isolation, the country as a prison. North Koreans cannot freely travel within their own country without permits. They cannot leave the country without risking death. Those who escape and are caught are sent to the harshest prison camps. The borders are heavily guarded with electrified fences, guards with shoot-to-kill orders, and patrols in the rivers. The country is one of the most isolated on Earth, not because North Koreans are uninterested in the world, but because the regime knows that knowledge is the most dangerous thing a person can possess. Part 3. Korea before the Kim dynasty, a people of culture, resilience, and light. The regime wants you to believe that North Korea has always been as it is today, that the Kim family saved the Korean people from chaos and foreign domination. This is a lie written over a history of extraordinary richness. A land of ancient civilization. The Korean peninsula has been home to sophisticated civilization for thousands of years. The Three Kingdoms period, Goguryeo, Beekj, and Silla, produced remarkable art, Buddhist scholarship, architecture, and governance centuries before the modern era. Korean artisans developed the world's first metal movable type, predating Gutenberg's printing press in Europe by more than 2 centuries. The Korean people were not backward. They were innovators. A culture of scholarship and beauty. The Joseon dynasty, 1392 to 1897, was one of the longest ruling dynasties in world history. During this period, Korean scholars created Hangul, one of the most scientifically designed writing systems in human history, created specifically so that ordinary people, not just elites, could read and write. This was an act of democratic generosity. The Korean people have always valued knowledge, education, and beauty. Traditional Korean music, painting, ceramics, architecture, and poetry represent a civilization of profound depth. A people who resisted oppression before. When Japan occupied Korea from 1910 to 1945, the Korean people resisted. In the March 1st movement of 1919, millions of Koreans, men, women, and children, peacefully took to the streets to declare their independence. The Japanese authorities responded with brutal suppression, killing thousands. But the spirit of the Korean people was not broken. They continued to resist, to preserve their language, their culture, their identity. You come from people who have resisted before. That blood runs in your veins. The division that was never meant to be permanent. After World War II, Korea was divided along the 38th parallel by the United States and the Soviet Union, a temporary administrative arrangement that became permanent when the Korean War began in 1950 and ended in 1953 without a peace treaty. The Kim family rose to power in the North with Soviet backing, not through the free choice of the Korean people. The North and South are one people, one language, one culture, one history, separated by politics and military force, not by nature or destiny. Part 4. The Bright Future That Is Coming. Hope is not naive. Hope is the decision to believe in what is possible when others tell you to stop looking. And the evidence for a better future for North Korea is powerful and growing. The information cannot be stopped forever. Despite the regime's desperate efforts, information is leaking in. USB drives are being smuggled. Smuggled radios pick up outside broadcasts. Former defectors who now live in South Korea, China, and across the world are sending information back across the border. The regime has intensified crackdowns because they are afraid, and they are right to be afraid. When people discover the truth, that South Koreans live in prosperity and freedom, that the world does not see North Korea the way they were told, the foundation of manufactured reality begins to crack. The defectors who light the way. More than 33,000 North Koreans have successfully defected to South Korea alone. They have built lives. They have gone to university, started businesses, raised free children, spoken before the United Nations, testified before congresses and parliaments, written books, and kept the world's attention on the suffering of the people they left behind. They are not traitors. They are proof of what North Koreans can do when given the chance. They are your brothers and sisters, and they have not forgotten you. The world has not forgotten you. Every year, governments around the world pass resolutions condemning the human rights situation in North Korea. Dedicated organizations work tirelessly to document abuses, broadcast truth across the border, assist defectors, and advocate for you. Journalists risk their lives to tell your story. The international community recognizes you as victims of one of the worst human rights catastrophes of the modern era, and there are millions of people around the world who pray for your freedom and work toward it. What freedom will look like? Imagine a Korea reunified in peace, or even a North Korea that has simply opened its doors and allowed its people to breathe. Imagine children who go to school to learn to think, not to worship a man they have never met. Farmers who own the fruit of their labor, who can sell what they grow and keep what they earn. Citizens who can read any book, watch any film, travel to any country, speak any opinion without fear. Families separated by the border who can finally embrace after decades apart. A nation whose intelligence, creativity, and resilience, so long imprisoned, are finally unleashed. South Korea, once poorer than North Korea in the 1960s, is today the world's 10th largest economy, home to globally recognized technology companies, a thriving cultural industry, world-class universities, and a democracy that, however imperfect, belongs to its people. This is what a free Korean people can build. The South Korean miracle was built by Koreans. The North Korean people, given the same freedom, will build their own miracle. Part 5. What you can hold on to today. You may be reading this and thinking, this is all true, but what can I do? I am one person. I have a family to protect. The consequences of resistance are unthinkable. These thoughts are understandable. The regime has invested everything in making you feel powerless. But here is what no regime can take from you, no matter what. Your mind is your own. They can control what you say. They cannot control what you think. Guard your inner life. Allow yourself to imagine. Allow yourself to question. Every thought of freedom that you think is an act of resistance. The truth is the truth, even when punished. A lie does not become true because it is enforced at gunpoint. The world outside is not a hellscape. Your leaders are not gods. Your worth is not determined by your loyalty classification. These truths exist whether anyone says them aloud or not. Community is possible, even in the dark. You're not the only one who doubts. You're not the only one who hungers for something more. Across North Korea, in whispered conversations, in the way a neighbor looks at you when the propaganda is playing, in the risk taken to share a forbidden piece of music, community is alive. You are not alone. History moves. Every oppressive regime in history has eventually ended. The Soviet Union fell. East Germany's wall came down, not with an invasion, but with people who decided they would no longer pretend. Apartheid in South Africa ended. The dictatorships of Eastern Europe crumbled. No system built on fear and lies has ever been permanent. The Kim regime will not be the first exception. A final word. You are seen, you are known, you are loved. To the people of North Korea. The world sees you, not as subjects of a regime, not as a nuclear problem to be managed, not as pawns in a geopolitical game, but as human beings, as men, women, and children with dreams, memories, laughter, grief, and an unquenchable desire to live fully and freely. Your suffering has not gone unnoticed by heaven. Your prayers have not been spoken into empty air. Across every tradition that has ever sought the divine, the message is the same. The God who made you did not make you to live on your knees before a man. You were made for more. You deserve more. And better days are coming. They always come. Hold on. Even if I knew that tomorrow the world would go to pieces, I would still plant my apple tree today. Often attributed to Martin Luther. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Theodore Parker, later popularized by Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. This article was written in solidarity with the people of North Korea, whose courage, humanity, and longing for freedom inspire hope across the world.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Liberty and Democracy podcast. In today's episode, we send a message to the courageous people of North Korea. We hope you enjoyed listening to You Were Born Free, a message of truth and hope for the people of North Korea. Did you know that Yohan Elvis Sersi, also known as Maestro Sersi, a survivor of Eastern Bloc socialism and the creator of this podcast, is also an accomplished music producer who has published numerous political music albums and songs dedicated to victims of Marxism, socialism, communism, and dictatorships all over the world? Yes, he has recently published Freedom in Pyongyang, a music album dedicated to the resilient people of North Korea. Freedom in Pyongyang is available on Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and numerous other streaming platforms available all over the world. Check out the links in the description section below to access today's episode as well as to listen and share the powerful songs included in our album Freedom in Pyongyang. Thank you all, and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and listen to our other transformative podcast episodes celebrating democracy and freedom.